Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the Gospel of Luke. And we're in Luke chapter 4, verses 31 through 37. Jesus is going to be visiting Capernaum, and he's going to be teaching in the synagogue there. And he's going to have a stint where he teaches in the synagogue there. Now, the last time we were together, Jesus had gone to his hometown of Nazareth, a very tiny little town, and spoken in the synagogue there, and he was rejected. Now he's going to the biggest synagogue in Judaism, the second most important place of religious learning and worship in Judaism. It's not the temple, it's not holy like the temple is, but it is huge. And Capernaum is the second most important town in Palestine for Jews, and Jesus is going to teach there, and he's going to be accepted there. So let's read the passage, Luke 4:31 through 37. And he came to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and he was teaching them on Sabbath days. That's plural. So over the course of weeks, he's been teaching them. And they were continually amazed at his teaching, for his message was with authority. And there was a man in the synagogue, possessed by the spirit of an unclean demon, and he cried out with a loud voice, "Ha! What do we have to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." And Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be quiet, come out of him." And when the demon had thrown him down in their midst, he went out of him without doing him any harm. And amazement came upon them all. And they began discussing with one another, saying, "What is this message? For with authority and power he commands the unclean spirits, and they come out." And the report about him was getting out into every locality and surrounding district. Such a vivid account. Jesus is in Capernaum. This is an enormous synagogue. It's one of the few places in Palestine where you can visit and you can say, Jesus was right here, because this place has been excavated and the black basalt floor is still there, the floor that he would have walked on. Anyway, um, there at Capernaum, he has been invited to speak over the course of consecutive weeks, and everybody is amazed. Everybody's drinking it in, and it's because the teaching is clear and authoritative, which they recognized at Nazareth and which was mentioned at the end of the Sermon on the Mount. It's the preaching of Jesus that is his true magnetism, and they know that he's sharing the truth with them. Then there is on this one week a man there with an unclean demon. That just seems a little redundant, I think, to say unclean demon as if there might be a clean one. But what was this man's issue? You know, that's really almost impossible for us to consider with any accuracy. It's like when we read the word leprosy in the Bible. Was that Hansen's disease as we understand it, which is what we call leprosy, or was it eczema, or was it contact dermatitis, or was it just a rash, or had he been bitten by a bunch of mosquitoes? I mean, when you read leprosy, it can mean a lot of things because their taxonomy is not our taxonomy. And when we read demon possession or an unclean spirit, that might be their word for a variety of things. Maybe it's epilepsy, or maybe it's multiple personality disorder, or schizophrenia, or maybe it's an unclean spirit. Um, um, they they were there to encounter Jesus and later on the apostles in the book of Acts, so that the power of good over evil, the triumph of Jesus over the devil, could be clearly demonstrated. And so let's just take the account as we are given the account. So he had this demon, and the demon speaks with multiple voices. What do we have to do with you? I know who you are. You're the Holy One of God, Jesus of Nazareth. The wording of all that is so important. Jesus of Nazareth, this human person that can be fixed in a place and time, is also the Messiah of God, transcendent of place and time. Um, this is a true confession, and yet Jesus never, ever accepts the testimony of demons. the point that those there that day took away, and the point we need to take away, is how easily, how powerfully Jesus got rid of this demon. He just said, "Shut up and leave." And the demon had to shut up and leave without doing any harm to the man who came possessed, without any Sturm und Drang. Just be quiet and go. And that was it. That's the authority that Jesus has. And it is always the case that the powerful, quiet gesture is communicative of more power than all the bells and whistles and the incantations and the explosions that you throw into something. I mean, it just is. It's frightening how easily Jesus is able to overpower. He just this frightening thing that happened in this synagogue, and we see this over and over again. I mean, when with the stilling the storm, these experienced seamen are worried they're going to die in the storm, and Jesus wakes up and says, "Be quiet and calm." And that's what happened that day, and that's what they noticed. And that's what we need to notice too. No matter what we're afraid of, Jesus is so much more powerful than that thing. Okay, we're going to pick up with the healing of Peter's mother next time. He's not Peter yet, by the way, he's Simon. So we'll look at verses 38 and 39 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.